We were talking about ways to measure things like air conditioners, grills, furnaces. And the unit that we used is BTUs. We talked about thousands of BTUs. But most electronic devices that we use in the United States, anything that we plug in and we're measuring electricity, remember we sell that in kilowatt hours. So we measure the power of an electric device by its wattage. You can calculate any electronic device has to have this by law printed on it or its packaging. So even if it doesn't tell you the wattage, like this one down here, all you have to do is take the voltage times the amps, and that's your wattage. So I don't know if you can see this, but on the bottom one, the voltage is 5 and the amperage is 1. So this one has half the power. Now, it'll still take the same electricity, the same amount of kilowatt hours to charge your phone. That doesn't change. Electricity going into the battery is the electricity going into the battery. I wanted to throw a couple more problems at you as we're wrapping up electricity today. So here's one that I think is pretty easy, but I've had kids miss it in the past. So a town uses 280,000 kilowatt hours of electricity each month. The population of the town is 700 people. What is the average per capita energy use? And the only thing that I've seen kids mess up before is they don't know what per capita means. Okay, now I know a lot of you do know that answer. Per capita is per person. How many people? So all we have to do to solve this one is take the amount of electricity that's being sold each month and divide it by the number of people. So per capita use would be 400 kilowatt hours per person each month. Not a hard problem as long as you understand what per capita means. Everybody's share, if they all use the same. That's why we use the word average. Electricity costs 10 cents per kilowatt hour. How much does it cost? I made it green. That's what we want to know, the cost. How much does it cost to run a 4,000 watt clothes dryer for 2 hours? Power of the dryer is 4,000 watts. All right, well, I need to know kilowatt hours, but my dryer is in watts. They want you to show your work, so I set it up where watts cancels out. Kilowatts goes on top. Remember, this is called a conversion factor. Kilowatts is larger, so it gets the 1. 1,000 is kilo. So there we go. 4,000 divided by 1,000 is 4, and watts cancels out. So first step, change watts to kilowatts. So many times I have kids forget that step. They leave it in watts, and then they're off by a factor of 10 to the third in their final answer. I see it happen over and over every year. They understand it, they just forgot to switch it. Okay, so we're using 4 kilowatts, and how long are we using it? Well, for 2 hours, right? So how many kilowatts are we using? How many kilowatt hours are we using? 4 times 2. We're using 8 kilowatt hours to run our dryer. I got a private message. Could you convert at the end, or would that? Yeah, you can. You could wait and convert at the end. No worries. Okay, so 4 times 2, and then each of those kilowatt hours costs 10 cents. So here we see kilowatts cancels and hours cancels. And so what we are left with is a dollar amount, which is what we were trying to solve. 4 times 2 times 10 cents, 80 cents. Another private message. Do we worry about sig figs like in chemistry? Nope. Don't worry about that in here. I mean, if you understand it, it's probably a good idea on the AP exam, but I certainly won't count off for it. This is my actual bill. And what I like that the companies have started doing, they do this on my water bill, my gas bill, and my electric bill. They give me a chart usually. Sometimes it's a bar chart, and it shows me how much electricity I used for the whole previous year. So I can draw some conclusions from that, right? I see July and September were my highest months of electricity use. So you see some seasonal changes here. And then underneath that, they actually give me some great data if I actually care about my energy usage. They tell me how much I used in the same month last year. They tell me my total for the year. And of course, they can divide that by 12 and give me my average monthly usage. Now, if you notice here, I have no number underneath current month. That's because I blocked it out. That's one of the things I'm asking you to calculate. How many kilowatt hours did Mr. Gropp and his family use last month? To solve that, the number of days is not important. That's going to flex whenever they came out to check my meter. But here I have the information I need. In November, this was the reading on my meter, 29,394 kilowatt hours. And in December, when they came back, the number was now 30,052. So how many kilowatt hours did I use? Just subtract those, right? And that'll give me the number that belongs right here. That's how you get the kilowatt hours. Okay, the next thing I might ask you, well, how much did they charge me per kilowatt hour? Okay, well, if I know how many kilowatt hours I used, and I know the cost of the bill, this includes taxes, don't worry about that. I just take the cost divided by the number of kilowatt hours. And that would be how much I'm paying per kilowatt hour. Now, I'll give you a hint, that's going to be under 25 cents. It's going to be a small amount. So when you get that answer, it's going to be a decimal, okay? The third thing I'm asking you to do with this information, I want to know what was my total bill for the whole year? How much money have I paid the electric company in the past 12 months? Well, once I know the cost per kilowatt hour, which we just solved, all I have to do is multiply that by the kilowatt hours I used for the whole year. And that will give me the amount of money that I paid last year for electricity only.